switch to English, and then
Okay.
if you can share with our audience what this experience was like working on this documentary for you.
So it's been a long, long process that is turned short in the end, like always. It started in 2016, and I was in Cochabamba, Bolivia, the city where I'm from. And I was in the streets. I was just there walking. I seen that people with disabilities were protesting in La Plaza, a few blocks away from my house because I live in the center. And then, but I wasn't putting much attention, to be honest, because people always protest in Bolivia. We always protest, actually, everywhere now at the moment. I think at the moment that's trickling. I think that even like when I was in Paris a few months ago, here in New York, people are picketing and protesting. So things are changing worldwide. However, then people were hanging on their wheelchairs, suspending on the bridges. And then a colleague of mine went and saw it, and he called me and he promised them that he will take me. And then I went there, and then everything started. Kind of a little bit longer it took, but started it. And we started documenting this process. In the beginning was more for putting a counter power to the government that tried to get them away from the streets. They walk 360 kilometers. They walk now, they
roll.
They roll. So they roll on the wheelchairs through the Andes. And I don't think that even the government imagined that they could be able to do that, because it's difficult. It's like you're crossing the whole Andean mountains, right? To get to La Paz, 360 kilometers. And they did it. And when they did it, this became serious. Since the beginning, the government, rather than listen to the people, they start attacking them and said that it was like a political propaganda against them, that they wanted to turn around Evo Morales was the president at the time, that was the right wing, that was paid by the United States. And the United States was really like behind this movement. And that it had nothing to do with reality, what was happening. My partner, he's from Australia and he's a white guy, and that he was accused to be a spy for CIA spy.
So that was the gringo.
Well, that was one of the gringos. The gringo was Fernando Barbosa, and that's why when he actually answered back in Spanish, and then the police didn't.
So which gringo?
Yeah, I don't think Dan could understand what they were saying really. So it became a bigger. So we thought that it might go for 2 weeks, and then we were 3 months, and then 4 months, and then 4 months and a half, and this wasn't ever happening, ever finishing. And we were in La Paz. They were camping outside the government plaza, and you realize that like the government really is targeting with everything, propaganda against them, divide and conquer within the movements, and also people are getting tired. They're not working, or they're not like, this is hard. And also people in Bolivia are getting tired of them protesting.
What do you think you accomplished with your documentary?
I think it's a historical document. It's a historical document that actually documents the ins and outs of the fight of people with disabilities, of a very long fight. I think it's a tribute to everyone who fights for dignity, to everyone who fights for a cause. It's a collective fight against like your individual rights and what we can do and what we can achieve as a society if we actually fight long enough. So it's the time has a lot to do in this film. You don't achieve, it's very hard to get your rights. It's very easy to lose your rights. And governments will only listen to you when they know you're serious and you know you're not gonna go away. And I think that this film shows that. It shows it's not a story of how you became a person with a disability, if you were born like that. And that was a decision, or if you had an accident, that was a decision of actually the characters. They didn't want to tell their personal stories. It was not about their personal motivations. It was about the community. There were leaders, and they were fighting for the right of everybody to have this pension. In Bolivia, they wanted to have a disability pension, and today they do have half of what they asked, but they do have this disability pension. So the film chronicles from day one to day 140 or something or more. It chronicles the whole struggle. It chronicles the in and outs and how they plan and what they do, but it also goes back into they narrate a little bit, like in a very emotional and also beautiful way. Like when they said that when they were putting, like tying their wheelchairs together, they felt like they were flying, and they felt like this like very beautiful group experience. So in a sense, it chronicles with a point of view of people with disabilities fighting for their rights. It's a very cinematic film. We show like 500 hours. Wow. That ended up in 90 minutes. And
I can imagine all the work.
We decided to premiere at Black Star because it's a festival that is an upcoming festival for filmmakers of color and Black and Indigenous filmmakers. And for me, it was important that I didn't want to just keep talking about community, but still keep going with the bigger fish. And I wanted to premiere in a festival that will not just honor me as an Indigenous filmmaker, but the audience, all of them will be Indigenous, Black, and community-based. And I think that the powers are changing. And I think that this was very important to me. Also because we can't keep saying one thing and doing another thing. And I felt like, so I do have a lot of hope of what's going to happen next. And I think that we're going to have a lot of community screenings all over the world. We're planning a big outreach campaign. We have support for a big outreach campaign that will take this film to little communities all over the world. Not just, we're going to actually organize screenings and tell people who want to organize screenings to talk to us, and we're going to give them all the materials, so then they talk about it. So this becomes a film, a tool for
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah. So this is what is changing. This is a secret, but we have received a Perspective Fund. Perspective is going to support us on our outreach campaign. What it means that and they really like what we're doing. In a sense, the short, it's already a tool for this change. And it's not only for people with disabilities, but it is for people with is the audience. We made a fight for people with disabilities, that they are the biggest point on our in how we made it. This is our audience. Our idea was never to universalize it or make it. No, I think that's past. I think that we are living different times, and the strength of the film, it's on that each person can tell their own stories and the way that they understand. It was made with the community. I went back for 1 year and actually weave this narration with the characters of the film, and they actually participated in the editing process. They participated they watched it hundreds of times like me, and they actually said why they like it and why they didn't like it. And we agree, we disagree, we agree again, we disagree again, and we agree to disagree. But we had this real process of community, and making a film with community is harder. It's easy to make it on your own. It's easy to make it with a bunch of professionals that have no idea of what this means. In this case, we had everybody, not everyone, because there were a lot of people, hundreds and hundreds, but the main characters that the film centers of, the leaders that achieve, that lead this caravan, they are central figures also in the making of this film. So I hope that it generates a lot of discussion, generates a lot of people learn how to stage a protest, and that well, it doesn't take 10 days. It has to bother, it has to really get into the heart of what you're fighting for. And it requires a lot from you. And sometimes will even require your life. And that's why I think this is the moment where we actually starting to think about and fighting that. They sell us this idea that individualism matter. And I don't believe so anymore. I think that the collective fights and the collective rights are more important than our individual fights. Yeah, and I think everybody should go to lalucha.red. It's a work in progress website because we are really rushing to finish the film, but also the film will be broadcast next year in World Channel all over the United States. And I just think that the most important thing for us now is to create this collective awareness and this community discussion. I'm not interested in a red carpet. I'm not interested in that type of, I think that's boring. I'm interested in how can you use La Lucha to learn to use those techniques in your own community, to use those techniques of changing the realities in little ways for your own community. And I'm interested in achieving social changes like this, little by little, and how we can all learn from that. And I hope that that's what the film will inspire this, like what it takes, what we can make, and also will give us the power from within that people with disabilities, we are not, we don't need others to speak for us. And we don't need anyone to speak for us. And we can actually tell our own stories. We can actually benefit from our own stories. In the case of La Lucha, the outreach is going to be led by Felisa and Rosemary. Like, they are going to directly benefit or lead or tell or inform all of these changes that we're happening. And I think this is very important for every community.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you for your work, and good luck with your documentary.
Thank you.